everyone, my name is Miss Moeller, and today I'm going to be going over how to upload artwork to your portfolio on freeartist.net. So to start with, you want to go to the homepage of freeartist.net, which is just as it says, freeartists, artists is plural, .net, and then you're going to log in from here. If you have not registered yet, you'll have to register through the Register Now button. Otherwise, if you have an account, you'll just log in through here, which I'm going to do right now. Okay, so once you log into your account, you're going to be automatically taken to the Updates portal, which is in the background right here. It's also located under the blue button right here where it says Updates. And the first thing you want to do is you want to go to your portfolio page. So you're going to look for where it says My Profile or My Portfolio, which will be located over here. So I'm going to click on My Profile / My Portfolio. When you click on that, you'll be taken to your portfolio page where you'll be able to upload artwork to your portfolio. So here's a sample of a portfolio page, which I created right over here. To add artwork to your portfolio, you're going to want to locate the Add Works button. The Add Works button is located right over here on the right-hand side of your portfolio page. So again, you need to locate Add Works, click on it. And when you click on it, it'll prompt you to select a type of media and then also a category for your artwork. The type of media under where it says Choose Work will be artwork, literature, video, or music. Artwork is going to be for images. Literature will be for writing, obviously, for like blogs, for example. Video will be video, and the music will be music. So in this case, I'm going to upload a picture to my portfolio, so I'm going to click on Artwork. And then you have to select a category for the artwork. So I would select a category from here. There are 6 main categories: design, film, music, literature, narrative arts, and fine art. Design is for like graphic design, film is for videos, music is for music, literature is for writing, narrative arts in this case is for animation, games, comics, things like that. Fine art will include drawing, painting, and photography. Then there's also a category called theory, which is for things like art history and whatnot, which you don't usually have to worry about. And then lastly, personal other is for artwork that you want to upload for your followers, but you don't want to upload it to your portfolio itself. So this is again for only your followers will see this, but it won't appear to on your portfolio. So I'm going to go ahead and select Fine Art, Artwork, Fine Art, and then Add Work. When you click on that, a form will pop up, and that form will let you create a new album. So in this case, I can create a brand new album here by create new album and title the album, or I can upload artwork to an existing album like graphic design, cartoon comics, whatever I want to call my albums in the past. So I can go ahead and call this one, I don't know, we'll just say graphic design. Actually, let me go back to that one. I'm going to do a new album. There we go. All right. So I'm going to title my album Test Artwork. Now tags are where you can add keywords so people can find your artwork. So for example, if you upload profile pictures or portraits, you can call it portraits for one of the tags. So that way if people want to look up portraits, they can find your artwork that way. You can write a description for your album, what the album's about here. Now under where it says category, you can select the category here. I can select fine art, for example, and then I can select photography. So subcategory will be located right over here. So in this case, I did fine art and photography. And then for language, I'm just going to do all language, but if you have a specific language, particularly if it's a work of literature or a video, you can select that here as well. Now, link to group will actually let you link to a group that you're part of. So if you're part of for example, a critiquing group, for example, you can actually click on that group here, and it'll simultaneously submit the artwork that you're submitting to your portfolio and then also to the group. So that way you can share your artwork with a larger community of people who might share that interest. Similarly, if you have a project, so let's say you're submitting a work of art for a project, for one of your classes, the project group may appear here as well. So you could find the project you're submitting to and select on that. So that way, again, it will also submit to your portfolio, and it will simultaneously submit to the project group to submit that project. If your artwork contains any type of mature content, you do have to flag it according to the Free Artist Network rules. You can select the privacy here, so only friends could see this, just you, so forth, similar to Facebook. Same thing with comments. And then finally down here where it says add images, this is where you would click to upload your image. So I'm going to click on add image. And then I can upload my picture. Let's see, in this case, I'll go ahead and upload this picture. Click open. And then a progress bar will appear and it'll show you your progress in uploading your work of art. Once it's there, you can either remove it, or you can add more images, or you can save the image. I'm going to go ahead and save the image. Here we go. There we go. Now this gives me the opportunity to title my image. I do recommend giving your image a title, so I can call this one Green Sample. You can caption it, meaning describe the artwork, and then if you wanted to, you can also move it to a different album at this point if you chose to, or delete it, or make it the album cover. So I'm going to go ahead and save changes. And now you see here's the album, and here's the artwork in the album. I only have one at this time, but you would see all of them for this album here normally. Now once you upload a work of art, your followers will be notified under updates that you've uploaded a work of art, and so they can come and favorite it or comment on it or so forth. Here's a sample of how the artwork page will look. Now, when I go back to my portfolio, again, I can click on my name up here, or I can click on my portfolio / my profile up here. And now you'll see under the artwork tab on my profile, I have the album located right here called Test Artwork. Now, on that note, the next thing that we'll talk about is how to customize your portfolio in the next section. So to customize your portfolio, there's 3 specific things you'll want to do. You'll want to change your profile picture, which will be located right over here. You will want to change the orders of the tabs in the menu right over here. And then lastly, you want to change the general style of the portfolio page, which will be located in the background. So this is the banner / cover image, and then this is the background, which we can change as well. So let's start with editing the profile picture, which is located over here. To edit your profile picture, you're going to go under Edit My Profile, which is located right here. So click on Edit My Profile. And this is where you have the information about your profile page located right here. Then at the top you see it says personal info, and then it says edit my photo. You will click on edit my photo, which I'm going to do right over here. And once I click on edit my photo, you see I'll be able to change the profile picture right here. So I can click on browse, upload a new picture. I can rotate it. I can edit the thumbnail to change where it appears in this little frame here. And here's a preview image of how it's going to appear. And then I would save the photo, or I can even remove the photo if I wanted to. In this case, the picture I'm using is fine, so I'm not going to do it here. But in general, this works similar to most platforms where you just browse for the picture and then upload it just like you normally would from using Save Photo right here. Now, the next thing you're going to do to go back to your profile is, again, you click on My Profile / My Portfolio, located right up here. And once you do that, you will be able to change the orders of these tabs. So you see right now, because I'm an instructor, I have courses as the very first tab of my profile page. And then I have artwork, updates, info, literature, lesson plans, so forth, so forth. And there's always a more tab at the end with more options. So you can see my forum posts, events, links, groups, music polls, films, all sorts of things that I've submitted. Now, the important thing to note about this is you can change the orders of how these appear in this bar here. So in this case, like I said, because I'm an instructor, I have courses on the front page or the very first tab. However, let's say I was a photographer. Rather than have courses as the first tab, I would probably want artwork as my first tab. So here's how you change all this. Look for the Change Orders button, which will always be on the right-hand side right over here. I'm going to click on Change Orders. And once I click on change orders, this very long bar pops up. Now I can actually click and drag and drop these to different locations. So you see I have the artwork tab right here. I can click and move this artwork tab around, as you can see. And I'm going to drag this to the very top. So now I have artwork, courses, updates, info, classified, so forth, all the way down. I'm going to click on Save Changes. And once I do that, you'll notice that the page will refresh. It'll take a moment to refresh. And once it does, you'll see the artwork tab now pops up as the first tab on the page. So for most of you, you will want to change the very first tab to be the tab that most represents your portfolio. So in this case, if you are an artist, like a fine artist or a photographer, or a painter or a drawer or whatnot, you would probably want your artwork tab to be the very first one that appears. So that way, anytime somebody visits your portfolio, they'll only see the artwork tab at the beginning and they can click through the others like this. So again, you can have more than one tab. So I could have art, let's say I do artwork and I also do music. I could have artwork first, and then I could have music second, and so forth and so forth. But usually, again, the first tab should be the one that most represents you. So if I were a musician, the first tab would be music. If I were a filmmaker, the first tab would likely be film. And if I were a writer, the first tab would likely be literature, like this. So then again, this is how all these tabs appear. All the tabs that you don't care about that much should go towards the end. And they will appear under this More tab right here. So I can see more options like videos, for example, if I don't do many, or groups that I'm part of, and so forth, as you can see. So that's how you change the orders. Now, the very last thing that you will want to do is to change the style of your profile page. So to do that, you're going to click on Edit Profile Style, or Edit Portfolio Style. Click on that. And it's going to pop up this bar at the very top here. As you can see, it's going to take a moment to load. And here it is. And what this does is this lets me pick a theme for my portfolio page. So I can actually pick a default theme. This is the default theme right now. Currently I'm using Filmmaker, which is this theme right here. But you see, if I click on these little tabs, I can actually search through the themes from here. So I can pick a theme like, I don't know, maybe model fashion will work. So I can click on Use Theme. So you can actually preview the theme by clicking on Preview. So the Preview button lets you preview the theme in a window here. So it'll show you a sample of what that theme would normally look like once it's all installed. So you can look at this theme and decide if you want to use it. And if you do, I click on Close. And then I can click on Use Theme. Now when I click on Use Theme, it may take a moment to load it, but you will see it should change the background image and everything. It doesn't seem to be working right now for this theme. Oh no, there it is. Alright, so it installed the theme. So now the theme's installed, you can actually see I have this same style from that picture on my theme now. Now the only difference is the banner. You'll notice that the background theme looks different, as you can see here, but the banner does not, or the cover image. The cover image is still the old one. Now this is, the reason that this works is because in many templates or themes or skins or what you want to call them for websites, I oftentimes see the banner image comes with embedded text or an embedded logo, which can actually be a problem. Embedded means that it's stuck on there and I can't remove it unless I take it into Photoshop and try to erase it, but oftentimes it destroys the image when you do that. So in this case, if this is my banner image, it says Frank Williams, for example, and it's got a picture of a camera in the background. This might be all great, but my name is obviously not Frank Williams, and maybe that's not my logo. Maybe I want to take this style of banner, but I want to replace the logo and the name with my own. So to do that, there's actually a package button, which is located right over here. The package button will let you download a file. It's a zipped file or a compressed file. And within this package file, you'll actually find the original Photoshop file that has this text and everything and the logo and so forth. The cover image / banner image. Now, I won't go through that whole process here since it is optional, but what you could do is You could either download a trial version of Photoshop, or I believe some programs like Pixlr might let you open up the software for free, or the program for free, and will let you edit some of the basics. There is also, if you do have Photoshop or a trial version of Photoshop, which again you can download for free, you will have the font files located in the package. The font files will be listed by the name of the font, and you can just double click on them in most cases to install that font to Photoshop. So what I would do is I would double click on the name of that font and then reopen Photoshop to refresh it, and then I would have those fonts installed. So I can use the same font for this if I wanted to. And then that way I can replace the logo and replace my name, and I won't damage the file. Once you have that banner saved, you would just save it as a JPEG and then re-upload it. And I'm going to go into that process right now. So the way that you customize your background is via this section where it says backgrounds. So there's a couple of things you can do. If you already have a theme selected, it might have an image going for the background like this one does. So I click on use image and take it off. So now I have just this background going. And what I could do is I can actually select a background color. So you see up here, and my background will change this way. I'm going to select maybe kind of an autumny looking background like this. Pretty good, okay. So I'm going to select that for my background image. Now, I mean my background color. Now, once I select a background color, I can also select a background image. I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to click on use image again, and this time I'm going to find a picture from the internet to upload for my background image. Now, in this case, as long as the picture is free to use on the internet, I don't think it's a problem to use it. The only artwork that has to be your own to upload to your portfolio are items that you are taking credit for, which would be artwork that you would add under AdWorks or tutorials or so forth. In this case, it's just the background design, so as long as you are getting the image from a location where they let you use the picture, then I'm sure it's fine. Just go ahead and open up a new tab like Google. And once you're in Google, you're going to go ahead and search for a picture. In this case, let's try, I'm going to type in autumn trees. Autumn trees. And then I'm going to go to Google Images. So I'm going to go to Google Images with autumn trees. And once I do that, the biggest thing you want to look for is you always want to go to search tools. So again, that's Google, autumn trees, search tools, and then I'm going to go to size, large. Now you always want to go to search tools and then change the size over here to large whenever you're searching for an image to upload for your background or for your banner, because otherwise the image will look quite pixely. So once I find a picture, let's say I decide that I like this picture. So I click on this picture. Now here's the mistake a lot of students make. They have a habit of clicking on this picture and dragging it to the desktop. The problem with that is this is not the full-size picture. This is a preview image or a large thumbnail essentially of that picture. You always want to click on view image first. View image will show you the full picture. So if I click on view image, now I have the full-size picture. See, if I click on it, it's very, very large now. So this is the one you want to click and drag over to your desktop. Now, on that note, whenever you're searching for pictures in Google Images, again, like I said before, you always want search tools, size set to large. While you roll over these items, you'll see at the bottom a bunch of numbers pop up in the bottom left corner of each of these thumbnail pictures. And that is the dimensions in pixels of that image. So you can see this picture is 1900 by 1200 pixels. Something like this one is 4000 by 300 pixels, which is quite large. And generally for the background image, you want a pretty large size picture. You don't want it so large that it ends up taking a really long time to load. You do have to consider loading time, especially if you're viewing it on a mobile device, the portfolio on a mobile device. Then a really large picture may work against you because it might take a while to load that picture. But otherwise, somewhere in between, I usually do maybe like 1500 pixels wide and 1500 high, somewhere around there. At least 1000 should work just fine for this. Now, once I get that picture and I drag it to the desktop, I'm now going to find a picture that I'm going to use for the banner. So same thing before, I'll do something similar. Maybe I'll just type in autumn leaves. And you see I'm still under search tools large, so I can find a picture like this. I can see this picture is 1600 pixels by 1200 pixels wide. Again, you don't want to click and drag this picture because this is just the preview picture. You want to click on view image and then click and drag that picture to your desktop. There you go. So now I have two pictures there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go back to my profile, and I'm going to click browse. Now, one of the things I notice happens sometimes, if you click on browse and you accidentally click twice, what might happen is this bar that pops up will suddenly hide. So if I click on browse once, I click twice, suddenly it looks like it's gone. It's actually not gone, it just went behind because when I accidentally selected this tab or this frame is what happened. So if it ever looks like it vanishes on you, you might have accidentally just clicked browse too many times, and then you'll find it behind here. So I'm going to click on background file browse. I'm going to select the background picture that I dragged to my desktop. I'm using Apple, but you should be able to find the desktop on a PC or any operating system that you're using. So let's look at what's called trees, and click on that one. Click and upload. Now when I try to upload this, I may get an error because I believe the picture will be very large. Actually, it might upload fine, but I almost hope I get an error so I can show you what will happen. So FreeArtist has a maximum cap of 2 megabytes per picture. So what that means is if I upload a picture that's larger than 2 megabytes, it'll return an error and it won't let me upload that picture. Now usually you don't want a picture that's larger than 2 megabytes anyway, because like I said before, it may take a long time to load that on some systems, especially like mobile devices. So you do want to be careful. So in this case, it looks like it's not uploading. The error hasn't come yet, but I'm assuming the picture is just too big. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to a website called Pixlr. So here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to open up a new tab, a brand new tab, and I'm going to type in Pixlr.com. Pixlr is Pixlr.com, and Pixlr provides a Photoshop-like image editing service, which is completely free, and it works inside your browser, so you don't have to download anything. You can if you want to, but you can work straight in the browser if you need to. It doesn't have as many features as Photoshop, but it's actually quite good. It's a very good program for something that they offer for free. I'm very impressed with it. So at Pixlr.com, you have 3 options. The option you want to select is called Pixlr Editor. Pixlr Editor will actually let you edit the image fully. So you're going to click on Launch Web Application. And when you do that, the picture will, or the program will open up here. Now I'm going to start by opening image from computer. So you see a little blue folder here. Click on that. And once I click on the blue folder, I'll be able to locate that picture that I downloaded on the desktop. Find that, open it up, and as you can see here, when I click on this image, now I can see the size of it is 2.7 megabytes. So it is too large. So I'm going to open it up, and now it appears in Pixlr. All right. So now what I can do now is I can actually change the size of the picture. So I can go to edit, image, my apologies. I can go to image, image size. So again, that's image, image size. And I can shrink the image a bit. So I can go ahead and change this to, let's try, right now it's set to 1900 pixels. I'll just try a little bit lower, 1800 pixels. Click OK. And you see it shrunk a little bit. Then I could try to file, save it. So go to file, save, quality. Now here's the thing, when you go to file, save, you can actually see how big the picture is going to be in the bottom right corner. So you see where it says size, right now mine says size 489 kilobytes or KB. Now a lot of students have asked me about this. What are kilobytes, what are megabytes, what are gigabytes? Here's what they are. Kilobytes, it takes 1000 kilobytes to make 1 megabyte, and it takes 1000 megabytes or so to make 1 gigabyte. Now it's actually more like 1200 kilobytes per megabyte, but the easiest way to remember is 1000 to 1000, so I just say 1000 is 1000. So 1000 kilobytes to 1 megabyte, 1000 megabytes to 1 gigabyte. So if we know that it's going to be 2 megabytes maximum is what I can upload to FreeArtist, then I can moderate that down here by making sure it's no more than 2,000 kilobytes. So again, 2 megabytes means 2,000 kilobytes. So where it says quality, I can increase this up. If I increase it all the way to 100, you see now the size goes to 2,800 kilobytes, which means it's going to be too big. So I'm going to shrink that a little bit, bring it down just a teeny bit. And you'll notice it makes a big difference. If I go from 98% instead of 100, automatically I'm under 2,000 kilobytes, which is perfect. So 98% quality is still very high. And now I'm just under 2,000 kilobytes, so this one should upload just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and name this one. I'm going to name it Smaller Image and save that to my desktop. There we go. Now once I do that, if I go back to the portfolio, click on Browse again. Only click it once, otherwise it'll accidentally go behind the page. Click on Browse, and now I'm going to locate the picture I just saved, Smaller Image. Click OK. Upload it. Now it may take a while to install the picture of the background, but once it does, you'll see it'll replace the current picture that I have here. Now while we're waiting for the image to install, if you look over here on the right hand side where it says position, repeat, and movement, these are all going to describe how the image is going to appear on that background. So right now the position is set to default. I often will change that to center top in most cases. It doesn't really matter, you can kind of move it wherever you want to, but center top describes where the image is going to be positioned before it starts repeating, if it does repeat. Oh, it looks like it just loaded. Oh, there it goes, it installed. So now my picture is installed in the background, so now you can see I have this lovely picture for my background, right? Now you'll notice it's repeating. You see how it's repeating? So the picture looks great here, but then as you can see over in the section, it starts to repeat, right? I'll explain how to fix that in just a bit. There's a couple things we can do to fix this. Right now it's set to repeat X and Y. It may say default on yours, it may say repeat. Default is no repeat, so if I click on no repeat, you see how it shows the picture here, then it stops. So it'll actually cut off the picture. It'll only show one block of a picture and then it'll stop. In most cases, usually you won't want no repeat. You usually want some form of repeating it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on repeat X and Y. Repeat X and Y is usually the best option. Now, if you're wondering what X and Y refers to, if you've ever taken geometry and they talk about the X-axis or the Y-axis, you probably understand what that means. The X-axis goes left to right, meaning that if I scroll left to right, if it was a small picture, it would repeat across the board horizontally, so it'll repeat, left to right. Y-axis goes vertically, so it'll repeat up and down. So you see how it's repeating on the Y-axis, it's repeating up and down here. So the picture stops here and then it repeats all over again. Now you could set it to repeat only one way or the other. If I set it to repeat on the X-axis, it no longer repeats on the Y-axis, but if I were to scroll left or right, you would see it repeat left and right. If I set it to repeat only on the Y-axis, it'll repeat up and down, but it won't repeat left to right, and so forth and so forth. In most cases, like I said before, repeat X and Y is usually going to be the best option, even for large images like this. Now here's the thing that's going to make the biggest difference, where it says movement. In most cases, if you're using a full picture like this, like a full photograph for your background, you usually want to set the movement to, I believe it's fixed. Yeah, fixed. What fixed does is fixed will embed the picture to the background, and everything will scroll on top of it. So it sticks that picture so it doesn't scroll. So you see what happens now? You see how the picture in the background doesn't change. Like watch this tree right over here. If I start scrolling, the tree is fixed. It stays where it is, but my portfolio will scroll up and down. Now this is usually the best option for big pictures because now I don't have to worry about that repeat X and Y unless I'm looking at a really huge screen, which is possible. Some people have very large screens, but for the most part, this is the best solution. Now, the other problem though that I'm going to have is you'll notice right now my text is very light, and on some parts of the image you'll see that the light text actually looks good. So on this dark tree right here, the light text stands out, the light yellow and the white will stand out here. But on some parts of the image, like over here, we see this kind of fogginess in the background. The white text and the yellow text don't stand out that well. Now this is going to be a very common problem for many cases in which you use a photograph for either your banner or for your background. So it's important for me to talk about how to fix this problem. What I'm going to show you next is how to prepare an image so that text looks good on top of it. And this is actually very important because if people visit your portfolio and they can't read it, like you see over here, I can barely read these links anymore, it's going to be a big problem. So you always want to make sure that you prepare your image, whether it's the banner or the background, so that text looks good on top of it. So here's how we're going to do that. I'm going to go back to Pixlr, which is where I was. If you closed out Pixlr, you can reopen it again by going to File. Here, I'll move this in the frame so you can see it. There we go. File, Open Image. You can open up that same image. Now, there's a couple things you want to consider whenever you create an image so that text will go on top of it. There's many different ways you can handle text, but I'll show you the most common. The first thing you want to do is usually want to reduce the contrast. Now, in most cases, you don't want to reduce the contrast of an image for most purposes, but when you're putting text on an image, reducing the contrast will help you. And this is why. Light text will stand out on a dark background. Dark text will stand out on a light background, so it's the opposite. You usually put black on white, white on black, right? You wouldn't put a dark colored text on a dark background or a light colored text on a light background because then you couldn't read it because the contrast isn't high enough. Now the problem with using photographs is that photographs do not have a consistent color in the background. Some parts are dark, like this tree right here, and some parts are light, like the fog. That creates a problem because if I put light text on this background, the light text will stand out on the tree but will not stand out in the light fog. If I put dark text on this, the dark text will stand out on the fog, but it won't stand out on the tree. So to fix this problem, I have to reduce the contrast, meaning I have to make all these colors kind of similar, which will end up kind of graying them out a bit, as you'll see. So here's how you would do that. You would go to Adjustments right over here, click on Adjustments, and then you're going to look for Brightness and Contrast. So again, that's Adjustment right up here, Brightness and Contrast. So I'm going to click on Brightness Contrast. I'm going to reduce the contrast. Now when I reduce the contrast, the picture will kind of gray out. Do not be alarmed by that. That's perfectly fine. So I'm going to reduce the contrast by -50%. Again, the picture kind of grays out. That is okay. That's what you want. So click OK. So now I have grayed out this background a bit. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to consider, do I want to make this lighter or darker? And that's going to depend on the color text I want to put on here. So as you can see, if I put light text on there, I want my background to be dark. And if I put dark text on here, I want my background to be light. Now in this case, because I have light text, you always want the opposite. You want the opposite shade of what your text is. So my text is light, I want the background to be dark. If my text was dark, I want my background to be light. So here's how you'd handle that. I would go to Adjustments, Brightness, Contrast again. So go to Adjustments, Brightness, Contrast again. This time we're going to focus on the brightness bar. If I increase the brightness like this, you see it makes the picture very light. Now the nice thing about this is once the whole picture is light and the contrast has been reduced, if I were to add dark text on this, it would suddenly show up much more. So I'd be able to add my dark text on here and now I would be able to see it. My dark link, my dark, if I have blog text or whatnot, it would show up on this. In this case, I have light text on my portfolio, as you can see here. So I'm going to make it darker. I'm going to reduce the brightness. So I'm going to reduce the brightness here. Click OK. And now I'm going to upload this picture. So I'm going to go File, Save, and I'm going to save a new one. Smaller image, and I'm going to call it Smaller Image, Low Contrast, and Darker. And I'm going to bring the quality back up to 99%. Again, watch your size in the bottom right corner of the kilobytes. Always make sure it's under 2000 kilobytes. Click OK. Save it to my desktop. And now if I go back to my portfolio, I'm going to click on Browse again, and I'm going to upload this picture. Browse, and called it Small Image, Low Contrast, and Darker. Click OK, and then upload it. So now it's going to take some time to install this one, but what you'll see is the text that you can see here, the light yellow and the white, will suddenly show up much better once this image is installed. Now, this rule is generally the same for almost all times that you put text on anything, and that will include the cover image, which I'll show you just a bit. Now, there's a couple different ways you can do this, which I can go over here. So I'm going to show you a couple of tricks. This will help you make your background load faster if you want to. So for example, I could take just this one skinny strip of an image like this, edit, copy it. So edit to copy. I selected it by using the marquee tool. The marquee tool is this little square right over here. If you roll over it, it's not the black square, it's the little blue square over here, marquee. And I can click and drag and select something, and then I can go to edit, copy to copy it, and then file new image, click OK, and then file paste, or I'm sorry, edit paste. And there I have this little stick picture, as you can see. And then I can go file save, call it sample. And what you'll see here is the quality. I have 100% quality, and the size is very little, something like this. It's only like 200 kilobytes, which is very short or small, and it'll load very quickly. So for example, I could save something like this. I'll show you that. Oh, here we go. It loaded. So now that it loaded, you can see the portfolio now. You see how the text pops up much better now, my light colored text. So I have the light yellow links and the white text, and now suddenly I can read everything so much better. So you see in the literature, I can read it much better. Updates, I can read better. Everything I can read better. It's just so much easier to work with this way. So that's the most important thing for your background. Now back to what I was saying before, I just saved this picture as a little sliver. I can go back in and go to browse and upload this one now, and you'll see that this one will be much more quick to load. So I'm going to go call it sample, right? So let me see sample. There it is. Upload. There you go. Now the cool thing about this is, like I said before, it will, if you upload a very little picture, it will be much faster to load. So see what happened here? You see what I did? It looks like a forest, but if you actually look back here, you can see how the picture's repeating. See, it's repeating along the x-axis. So now this is repeating on the x-axis, 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 like you see here, left to right. I could do the same thing with the y-axis if I wanted to. So let me show you. Let me show you how to work with that actually while we're at it. So what I could do is, I'll do something like this. Yeah, here's what I'll do. Actually, I'll show you this a little bit later. Let's try this. I'm going to make a new image. I'm going to go File, New, so I can create a new image in Pixlr. File, New Image. And I'm going to create another kind of strip. I'm going to make the width pretty long, maybe like 1,000. And for height, I'm going to create it very skinny, so maybe like 200 or even 100. Let's try that way. So I can select the width in pixels, 1,000 pixels wide, 1,000 pixels high. Click OK, and now I have this bar. So you see this little canvas that I created right here? This is my canvas, and I can click in the bottom right corner to make it bigger if I need to. Now I can make a border around my background if I wanted to by doing this process. So I'm going to get my paint bucket tool, which is right over here in Pixlr. It looks just like a little paint bucket. Click on that. And then I go to my color picker at the bottom where I can select the main color. So I click on this, and then I can select a color. So I could do something that matches my color scheme. Maybe like a dark orange perhaps, or yeah, actually I'll do dark gray maybe. Let's try that. Okay. Click on the paint bucket, and now I have this dark brown kind of gray color. So I just clicked it with my paint bucket to fill it. Now I'm going to select my paintbrush tool. The paintbrush tool is on top of the paint bucket. So click on my brush tool, and then up at the top over here, you're going to see this is the options bar. The options bar is located under the main menu. Now the main menu includes all the buttons like File, Edit, Image, and the options bar is just below that. So if I click on where it says brush, locate where it says brush up here and click on that, and it'll upload a brush selector. I'm just gonna click a shape like the star or something. Now I can change the diameter, which is bottom left corner. Diameter is the size, so you can see I can make it, if I roll over here, you can actually see how the brush will look. Once I click on it, see the size right here, it gives it a little outline before you click. So I can make that bigger by increasing the diameter, and I want it to be big enough to where it covers the space, like around here. So I click on that, and then I'm going to pick a color. Oops. There we go. Okay. So I pick a color, a new color now in the color picker, and I'm going to get, let's try a red maybe. Kind of go with that, or a red orange, go with that orangey theme. Click OK. Now I'm just going to go to just the edges of my paintbrush. So with just the edges, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to cover this up and just click once. Cover up the edge and then click once. Click. There we go. That's not terrible. Okay. And then I'm going to go over here to this edge and I'm going to click again. Click once. Click. There you go. Just try to fill those edges. There we go. So you see what I did is I just filled just the two edges on both sides. I can even try to get them to fit a little closer to the edge. There we go. Okay. So now this is my image. Now you'll notice that it's long and it's long left to right and short up to down, or bottom to top. And this is going to be a good image to repeat along the y-axis. We'll show you why in a second. So go File, Save Image. I'm going to call this y-axis border. Y-axis border and quality full. Now you see, look at this one. This is only 14 kilobytes. This one will load very fast, and that will include loading fast on mobile devices. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Save it to my desktop, and now if I go back to my profile, I can click on Browse and find a background image, called it Y-axis border. There it is, Y-axis upload. Now if I upload this picture, you'll see I get this nice little border effect now that goes around my artwork. And I could repeat on Y only. So if I repeat on Y-axis only, it'll repeat up to down, like you can see here. I could repeat both if I wanted to, repeat Y and X, but repeat the Y-axis probably is fine in most cases. But now you see I have this nice little border effect. So wherever my artwork is, I can frame it inside of that border, which is kind of cool. So see in my courses, my literature, everything's inside the border, which is kind of nice. So again, if you want to repeat something on the y-axis, up to down, you want the image to be long left to right, but short up to down, so it repeats quickly. Now obviously it's the opposite the other way around if you want to repeat on the x-axis, which I'll show you just a little bit. So let me show you now how to repeat a pattern across the whole background. So I'm going to go back to Google Images. I'm going to Google Images and I'm going to type in tile. Tile image, or I can do leaves tile. Anytime you type in tile, you're going to find an image that will match up on the left and right side and the top and bottom side, kind of like bricks. It's basically built to line up without having cuts in it, more or less. So I'm going to go ahead and search for leaves tile. And this is what they look like. So they're very small images, which is good. So small images, but they'll match up along the edges. That's the trick with a tile picture. You don't have to design your own if you don't want to. A lot of them are made and freely given away on the internet. And like I said before, they are built so that they will match up left to right and top to bottom. So you don't have an odd looking image that way. So I can click on this one, for example. Something like this, I guess. That's just for a sample. Well, no, that one's I don't think I have permission to use that one. Let me look for another one. I'll try this one then. No, I don't have permission for that one either. Let's see. Tile pattern. You can also type in the word pattern if that doesn't work. or leaf pattern tile, something like that. It doesn't be leaves, I'm just using that as an example. I'll tell you what, since it's just for an example, I'm going to delete this later anyway. I'll go ahead and use one of the ones that are here. Which one did I see before? I'll use this one then. Alright, so I'm just going to drag this onto the desktop. Now this doesn't really matter if you get the large picture. The smaller picture actually will work better in this case. So I'm going to go back to Pixlr now. And I am now going to go to File, Open Image. So again, that's File, Open Image. And I'm going to open the one that I found on the desktop, or that I found the tile image. There it is. Now in this case, I'm just going to cut off this piece with the marquee tool. Again, I always recommend using a picture that you obviously have permission to use. In this case, it's just for the demonstration, so I'm going to use this one. But this is a stock image, so I'm going to grab this one here, edit, copy, and then file, new image. Okay, and then paste it. Edit, paste. Okay. Alright, so you don't have to worry about what I just did. I'm just showing you a sample. So this picture actually is way too big for a tile picture. It will tile, but it's not going to work for this background. It's going to be too large. See, look at that. It's like 1300 pixels. So I'm going to shrink this a lot. Image size, I'm going to shrink this to like 200 by 200 basically. Okay, there it goes. Now to zoom in, look for the magnifying glass tool, which is located on the left side. Zoom in, there we go. Okay. I don't like how small that is. Let me try that again. I'm going to image size. Let's try maybe 400 would work. 400. There we go. And then zoom out 100%. There it is. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Maybe a little smaller even. Image size. So again, image size lets you change it. Let me try 300 actually. 300. There you go. Okay, that's better. Alright, so now if you look at the bottom left corner, you can click and highlight this and change this to 100%. That'll bring it down to how it's actually going to look once you upload it. If this is anything higher, like if I click on this, now it says 150%. Again, select that, 100%, there it is. Now, this image will tile in the background. So I can go File, Save, call it Tile, bring it up to 100%. You can see it's super small. It's only 200 kilobytes. Click OK. Tile, desktop. Go back here, browse from my computer, and then I'm going to go find it, tile, open, upload. And now for this one, I'm going to repeat it along the X and Y axis. Now what you'll see will happen is it'll repeat left to right, and it'll also repeat top to bottom, so it'll literally tile across the page and create a nice pattern. Now the nice thing about tiling the image, see here it is, now it's tiled. You see, you can't see the cutoff points. That's why it was made to be tiled, basically. So left to right, you don't see like any edges. So if it's not made for tiling correctly, then you'll see these little blocks. It'll actually look like tiled, like square, 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 and you'll be able to tell the edges will be really cut off. In this case, because the picture was built for tiling, you don't see that effect. Now in this case, I could change the movement now to scroll if I wanted to. And the cool thing about that is now you see I can go up and down, and the text and the image scroll together, which is a nice effect. But you know, I don't have to do that. I can go back to Pixlr if I wanted to. But the point is just repeat X and Y, and you can see, like if I have repeat Y only, it goes up and down. And if I repeat X only, it'll go left to right, which I won't see. It'll be under the banner at the top here, but Y and X and Y are the best ones. Now, problem with this, as you see what happened, now my text is all messed up again because I can't see it. So I have light text on a light background, or mostly light background because of these white parts. So it's too busy. Anytime the picture is really busy and really detailed and really patterny, it's going to be really hard to see text on that. So pattern backgrounds do not work well with text. But we can make them work well with text by doing the same process as before. So if you find a tile picture or a pattern that, again, you can use that works, but the color doesn't match and you can't see the text on it, here's how you fix that. I'm going to go to Pixlr, And I'm going to start with the same process that I started with before. I go to Adjustments, Brightness, Contrast, Reduce the Contrast. Reduce the contrast by maybe about 50%. And again, it grays out the picture. Click OK. Now I go to Adjustments again and go Brightness, Contrast a second time. Now I'm going to decide if I want to lighten or darken the brightness. So I can lower the brightness or increase it. If I have dark text, I want to increase the brightness like this. If I have light text, I want to do the opposite and have a dark background. So I'm going to reduce the brightness. This will help my text pop out. Now the problem is this still doesn't match my color scheme. Let's say I want my color scheme to be kind of autumn colored, right? So what I could do is I can go to Adjustments and go to Hue Saturation. Hue means color, H-U-E. So I click on Adjustment, Hue Saturation, and I can change the hue bar. When I change the hue bar, you see the color will actually change. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the brightness up temporarily. You don't have to do this. I'm just going to show you just so you can see clearly how this will work. So if I go to Adjustments, Hue Saturation, I change the hue. See how the color changes now more clearly? So I can start out with sort of like an autumny, orangey color. There you go. And then do the same thing as before. Lower the contrast and reduce the brightness. And now I have an autumn colored one. Click OK. File, Save Image. I'll still call this one Tile, 100% quality. Click OK. Replace, save it, and then same thing as before. Browse, upload it. Tile, upload it. And repeat X and Y, just like before. Now the difference is this time, because I made it a lot darker, and I reduced the contrast, you should be able to see the text better. Plus, now it matches my color scheme. So there you go. See how much better that is now? So I still have that cool pattern that I like, but this time I can see the text on it because it's darker and the contrast is reduced. So my light text stands out now, even though it's a pattern background. It also matches my color scheme because now it's that orangey color, which is kind of cool. Okay. Now, I mentioned before, back when I was showing you this, I'm going to close this out. If you want to rotate something or repeat something on the y-axis, you want it to be long but not tall. If I want to repeat something on the x-axis, I want it to be tall but not wide. So let me show you how that would look now. I am going to create a new image. Go File, New Image. File, New Image, and now I'm going to create something that is short on width. So 200 width, but the height's going to be, I'll do actually 300 width. But the height's going to be 1,000. Okay. So again, that's 300 width, height 1,000. Click OK. Yeah, that should be fine. There we go. So this one's long, but not wide. Very. So now I can actually here's how you copy an image over to another canvas in Pixlr. You click on the image you want to copy over, and then you're going to go to Edit, Select All, which will select the picture. So Edit, Select All, and you see the little running ants, the marquee appears. Now I'm going to go to Edit, Copy It, so Edit, Copy, and then I'm going to go over to the canvas. So again, I went to Edit, Select All, Edit, Copy to copy it. Now I click on the canvas I want to paste it to, which is this one, and then I go to Edit, Paste. And there it appears. Now, if the picture is too big, I would then do the next step of going to Edit, Free Transform. In this case, it works pretty good though, so I'm going to leave it the way it is. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to actually make a type of repeating bar. I'll show you how this is going to look. I'm putting this towards the top, and now I'm going to look for something called my Layers panel. Here's the Layers panel right over here. I'm going to copy this layer. So the layer 1 is the layer that I copied on top of here. To copy a layer, and you can see a sample of the layer here, so you know it's the correct layer, the layer that has the pattern on it. I'm going to copy this by dragging it to the New Layer button. The New Layer button is next to the trash can icon, which is right over here. So here's the trash can icon, which will delete the layer, and then the next that's a New Layer button. So I click and drag on that, and then it'll copy that layer. So see now it says Layer 1 Copy, and with the Move tool, which is this tool right over here at the very top right of the toolbar, I can drag this down and snap them together. Let's see, so they match up and make something kind of like this. I'll show you what the purpose of this is in a second. Alternatively, if you want to, actually I think this should work fine, yeah. I'm going to keep copying these layers. I may need to make this a bit longer actually. To make an image longer, you go to Edit, Image Canvas Size, image canvas size, and now what I can do is, again, image canvas size, not image size. Image size will increase the whole image itself, and I want to just make the canvas bigger. So I can make the height bigger. I can make the height like 1500 pixels if I wanted to. Now you'll see under there where it says anchor. Anchor will ask you which area you want to preserve when you increase or decrease the size of this picture. So in this case, I want to preserve it from top to bottom. So I click either any one of these will work. So I click at the very top. Usually top middle is the best way. Click OK. There you go. And now it made it bigger, as you can see here. I'll zoom out so you can get a better idea. Let's see. Go. I went to the navigator panel and I dragged this little icon to the left here, the little bar, and now I can zoom out. So now you see it's much wider, or sorry, much longer now. So I'm going to copy the layers again and move them down. So I'm going to create something kind of like this. Not bad. Okay. Okay. So now something like this. Now I'm going to go back to the background layer. You can see the layers panel here. I'm going to drag this bottom right corner down and click on the background. So I clicked on the background layer, and now I'm going to get my paint bucket and I'm going to pick a color. Paint. So I painted this down here, the paint bucket, and I have 3 of the tiles at the top, so it makes like, it almost looks like a cigarette almost, but I've got this little long bar. Now here's an option. I click on the paintbrush, and once I click on the paintbrush, again the paintbrush tool is located on top of the paint bucket. I can click on brush and click a soft round brush. A soft round brush will look like it has a fuzzy edge, and a hard round brush will look like a perfect circle. A hard round brush has an edge that is opaque, meaning it's not see-through. Opaque and transparent are opposites. So opaque is not see-through and transparent is see-through. So a soft round brush will have a transparent or a little bit see-through edge, so it blends. I'm going to click on a transparent one, and then I can increase the diameter down here, make it bigger. See? Soft edge, and increase the diameter. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here. I have the same color selected, and I'm going to kind of just dab on the top of these layers right over here. So I click at the top layer. I got my paintbrush, click the very top layer up here, select it. I'm going to dab, 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 and it's going to make this blendy effect. See that little blendy effect right there? So what happens is now it looks like this is blending into the bottom, right? So you may be wondering what the point of this is, and I'll show you right now. I'm going to go File, Save, and I'm going to call this one X-axis tile. So before we had Y-axis tile, now I have X-axis tile. I'm going to drag the quality up. Again, the size is small, so that's a good thing. It means it'll load quickly. Save it to the desktop. And then go back to Browse on my profile, and I'm going to upload this picture. X-axis tile. There we go. And then upload it. And this one I'll repeat on the x-axis. So again, a long skinny image repeats on the x-axis, and a tall skinny image repeats on the x-axis. A long skinny image repeats on the y-axis as well. So there we go. So now look what happens. If I go to scroll, movement scroll should work. Oh wait, will it work? Actually, let's do fix then. Okay. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to save it. So at the top right corner, if I click on Save, top right corner, click on Save, save successfully, and then close. So top right corner, save, and then close. And then you should get this image. It's actually almost too much. So in that case, I'm going to go back to this picture, and I'm actually going to shrink this a bit. I'm going to do image size now. And for height, I'm going to shrink this to 900. So image size, shrink it, height, so I'm making it smaller. File, save, there we go, save it, okay, good. Yep, okay, replace it. Try that again. Background, browse. So I just made the height shorter now by going to image size. And now what will happen is when I upload this, it should work correctly now. Upload it. There we go. So now you see what happens. See how I have this really cool pattern effect up here? Click on save. Save, close. Okay. There it is. So see, I have this cool pattern effect here, and it just kind of drops down now into this this color down here. So the advantage of this is if I'm back at the Edit Profile Styler, I can actually change the background color default to this same red. So I changed the background color to a similar red color. If you're not sure what color that is, here's what you can do. Here's a pro trick. In Pixlr, click on this color picker. So I have this red color here. Click on the color picker and look for the hexadecimal color code. A hexadecimal color code is located in here. It's hexi means 6 and decimal means digit. So it's a 6 decimal code. So right over here, here's the color that I have located right here. And the code is next to the number symbol. It's 8A2015, basically, is what the code is. So if I copy this, I can just select it, highlight it, and copy it with Command-C or Windows-C, or Alt-C, depending on the keyboard or an operating system you're using. Or just write it down if you have to. 8A2015. Okay, and now I go over here, and you see the hexadecimal color code. I can add that here. So I can add that there. 8A2015. Enter that in. Enter. And now it's selected the right color. And now if I go to movement, I can select it to scroll, and then I can save it. And then close. And there you go. And now you see it sticks, basically. Oh, I see what happened. Hold on. My mistake. Edit profile style. I have it set to rotate X and Y. I mean to rotate only on X. There you go. Repeat on X. So I'm going to repeat X only. My apologies. Repeat X only. And when I do that, it should repeat left to right only. I might have to make it a little bit longer, but you see the point is, see how I have this little pattern at the top, and then if I scroll down, it just turns into red throughout the whole page, basically. But these are all the different options for doing a background. Last trick I'll show you for doing a background image. Actually, I'll show you this trick another time. I think this will be fine. So I preferred using the forest picture, so I'm just going to use that one. I'm going to do background. Repeat X and Y, fixed, browse, and I'm just going to use my forest picture again. The one that was darker. So let me find that one. There we go, and then upload. Okay. So while that's uploading, let's now move on to changing the banner image. So the banner image, unlike the background, again, unlike the background image, the banner image does have a set dimension. The banner image is located under cover image or banner right over here. Let's click on cover image, and when I click on cover image or banner, you'll see a, it says change cover or change banner. I'm going to click on change cover, and this image will pop up that'll show me a preview of that banner image. So it says max size 100 megabytes. Don't do that. Do 2 megabytes maximum, really. So optimal banner dimensions is 1100 by 500 pixels. Just remember that, 1100 wide and 500 high in pixels. So when I go over to Pixlr, I'm going to create a new image. So don't do open image from computer for this one. For the banner, you want an exact size. So I'm going to go create a new image. And now I'm going to do 1100, 1100, not 1000, 1100, and height 500. And then click OK. And this is the exact dimensions of the banner or cover image that you want. So now what I'm going to do is I can find a picture on the internet, and I'm going to put it into my banner. So I'm going to go File, and then I'm going to go open image. So file, open image, and open that image into Pixlr. So in this case, I think it's called fall scenery. Let me find that. There we go. So now here's my picture, and I'm going to put this into my banner in the right dimensions. So to do that, like before, to copy picture over, you go to Edit, Select All, Edit, Copy. Then I can close out of this, don't save it. Click on the banner or the canvas I want, and then go Edit, Paste. Now, when I go to Edit, Paste, look at this. It's really big. It's too big for me, right? Especially if I post in a photograph like a person, you'll notice it's too big. So to fix that, go to Edit, Free Transform. So when you do Edit Free Transform, you want to hold down Shift on the keyboard as you change the size of this, so it'll scale it proportionally, meaning it won't warp it. So you don't have, like, especially if it's a person, you don't want it to look like, for example, I don't want the leaves to get all squished like this, right? Or I don't want them to be all squished this way. I want to scale it proportionally. So I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform, and look for the corners to see a little blue square. Hold down Shift and click on that blue square and drag it. And you see how I can shrink it if I need to, right? There we go. Now you may have to cut off part of the image. It's better to crop or cut off part of the image in most cases than to warp it like this way. You might be tempted to do this, but you see how it looks weird, right? So in most cases, you want to just Edit, Free Transform, shrink it down, and just find a place where you can crop it. So I have to crop it this way. Click and drag. There we go. Move it in. All right, good enough for me. Okay, when you're done, click anywhere on the canvas and say, do you want to apply the changes? Yes. And now I have my image, okay? So now, just like before, if I want to put a logo on this or I want to put text on this, you always want to make sure that the image is low contrast and that it is darker or lighter depending on the color text. So again, darker if you want light text, light if you want dark text. So I'm going to do adjustments, brightness, contrast, reduce the contrast by 50% or so. All right, and then I'm going to, for this one, let's say I want to do dark text. So I'm going to do adjustments, brightness, contrast, increase the brightness because I want dark text. So I need a light background, right? Now, on that note, if you want to keep part of your image, let me undo this for a second. This is just demonstration. You don't have to do this, but if I want to keep part of this really cool color around the edges, what I could do for my banner is create a new layer. So I'm going to get my layers panel over here. And I'm going to click on the new layer button, which is right next to the trash can. So the new layer button right there next to the trash can, click on that once, and it's going to create a new layer. Oftentimes it's called layer 2. So on this new layer, while I'm selected on this new layer, I'm going to go ahead and click the marquee tool, which is again that square. It's the blue square, the blue outline square, not the dark one on top. Click on that. And I'm going to make a selection somewhere just in the center, for example, or from left to right. So I can click and drag, make some space for myself. I just clicked and dragged on this corner, click, drag. And I'm going to make them some space maybe here, click and drag. So you see what it is? I clicked and dragged, but I left some space at the top of the bottom. And now I'm going to go ahead and pick a color. It could be black, white, or any other color basically. But if I want to do, let's say light text, hypothetically then for this one, I'll do a dark color. And I can paint bucket on the inside. So paint bucket inside the selection. See, this is where the selection is. I paint bucket on the inside. Now to deselect, so you don't get this little running ants effect, I can go to Edit, Deselect All, Edit, Deselect All, and now I have this. So the cool thing about this is I could go ahead and type on top of this, or I could do the following. Look at your layers panel and look for the bottom left corner of your layers panel. The bottom left corner of your layers panel, click on that once, and you see it says opacity. Now, like I said before, opacity is the opposite of transparent. Opacity means it's not see-through, and transparent means it is see-through. So a wall is opaque and a window is transparent. So I'm going to reduce the opacity and look what happens. I'm not going to reduce it all the way, it's just a teeny bit, like 80% opacity. And now what this does is now it lets me see a little bit of those leaves in the center. I still have the original color around the edges if I want to frame it. And now I can add my text. To add text, look for the text tool or the type tool, which is the giant A at the bottom of the toolbar. Click on that and then click once on your image, once. And now I can type in something. So I can call this Miss Smoller. And I can frame it if I want to. And there we go. Okay. All right. So now I can change the color of the text. So again, light. You see how I mentioned before, dark text on dark background doesn't look good. Light text on dark background looks good. Light text on light background will not look good, but light text on dark background look good. So let me try the opposite. I'll try like a yellowish color so it matches my color scheme. Whoops. There we go. Come on. All right, not bad. Okay, and now I can see it better, see? So I can change the font from here if I need to. Usually using opposite fonts is a good thing, which I'll explain what I mean by that a little bit more in just a bit, but I'll try bold. And then make the size larger. All right, not bad. Center it if I need to, and then click OK. So now I can move it with the move tool right up here. Move it around. There we go. So this is my text. Now you can contrast fonts as well if you have to. So to contrast fonts, I would click on the text tool again, click again, and then I would say like, welcome to my portfolio. Now problem is, it's in the same font as before, so you want to make opposite fonts. So I could do white. So again, you don't want, you want the logo or the title or header to be different than the slogan down here, and you want to make them look different. So to make them look as different as possible, you make them different colors, still light though, because you want to see it on the dark background in this case. But I can do different styles here. So I can do serifs or sans serifs. I could do something curly like this. I can make it smaller if I need to, for example. There we go. Are there other ones? Actually, I kind of like that one. There we go. I can move this underneath. So you see how now they contrast more? I'm going to change that. To change the font, click on the A tool and double click on it again. I'm going to try... Actually, I'm going to keep the same font there. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to make this one bigger. That's what I'm going to do. So I clicked on the right layer. Always check your layers, make sure you're in the right layer. Make this one even bigger. There we go. So now they contrast pretty well. So I can have this here and welcome my portfolio below. There we go. So now this could be my banner. So I could show you file, save, quality large is fine. As long as under 2000 I recommend. I'm going to call this one banner, save it to my desktop. And now, as before, I'm going to go to cover image or banner right over here. Change cover or change banner, and then I'm going to upload that picture. Browse. And then I called it banner, so it's located right over here. There we go. Save it. Okay, so once that's loaded, it may take a while to install it, but you should see it appear up here. There it goes, and there we go. So now I have a nice banner that matches my cover, which is kind of cool. Okay, so that's how you upload your banner to the right dimensions. Again, for the banner, you do have to make sure it's the right dimensions, or else it'll be too big and it'll get cut off. So just make sure it's always 1100 wide by 500 pixels high. Now, on that note, there's other effects you can do in Pixlr just for the tip. For example, I click on Miss Muller, that layer. I can go down here to the layer styles. The layer styles button is the third from the left. So if I go to the very left, I count 2 over. Very left little button where the settings are, right here. And then I go 1, 2, and then there's layer styles. click on that one. And this one will let me add cool effects like a drop shadow. You see, I can add this drop shadow here to make it pop out. I can make it bevel so it looks 3D. I can add an outer glow to make it glow around the edges or give it an outline basically, and all sorts of things. Click OK, and now look at this. I have these cool effects on my banner if I wanted to. But again, the most important thing is that anytime you put text on something, you need to make sure that the contrast is lowered and you make it darker or lighter depending on the text. So in this case, I worked around it by adding a low contrast and dark, partially transparent, meaning not fully opaque, bar on underneath the text just to make it stand out. So that's one way. Now another thing you can do to add text to something is actually blur the image a little bit. Normally you don't want to blur images, but in this case it would work. So I'm going to hide these layers temporarily. To hide the layers, click on the little checkbox here. And let me show you that trick. So if I wanted to put something on here, I can blur the image using a couple of different techniques basically. There are filters where you can blur it, so I can go blur as long as I'm on the background layer. And I can keep blurring it, so I can do, let me see, box blur. There's like box blur, and I can reduce the amount. There we go. So if I blur the image in the background, you'll see that text and logos will pop out better. In this case, it's still light on light, so the colors are still won't work, so I still have to select Miss Molar and make it dark. So I can make this one like a dark red, for example. And I may still have to reduce the contrast and everything. So I'm going to click on the background layer down here, layer 1. In this case, which is when I said background layer, I mean the picture of the leaves. And I might still have to reduce the contrast a bit and increase or decrease the brightness depending on what I'm doing. Anything to get it to pop out. But again, as you can see, blurring the image also will help text stand out, especially if it's a really detailed image like this. So those are all the tricks for working with text and so forth. I can go ahead and use this if I need to. I like the yellow, actually. I'm going to keep that back. There we go. Okay. Alright, fair enough. Save. So again, all different ways to make text stand out. Lower the contrast, make it darker or lighter depending on the text, and then also you could blur the image as well. All those things will make the text stand out more. So I'm going to go back to cover image, change cover, upload the new one that I just saved, browse. And again, you need to have that banner, the exact dimensions of 1100 by 500 pixels. Otherwise, it'll be very difficult to upload it correctly. Background image, though, will not matter quite as much, just depending on if you're rotating it and so forth. But in almost all cases, bigger pictures will work better for whatever you're doing. Okay, so now I have my new image. Edit profile style, upload my background. Oop. Okay. Browse. I forgot to save it, so I'm going to grab that picture. It was this one. There you go. Upload it. Okay. Now, while that's loading, there's other different things on the left hand side. You can ignore theme files. Theme files is if you wanted to upload a zip file or a compressed file that includes like your banner pictures and things like that. If you want to share it with other artists, you can select allow members to use my theme at the top here. If you select allow members to use my theme, then an option will appear on this left hand side when somebody else visits your portfolio that will say, do you want to install the same theme to your portfolio, which you could do. In that case, you would be able to have the theme files located here for them to download, but you do not have to do that. The main thing you really want to look at save this. Okay. The main thing you want to look at is background, which you just did, and cover image or banner. The other stuff will be widget, menu bar, tab bar, and text. Widgets are these things on the left hand side. See where the picture, your profile picture and the background there. Friends, events, courses, teachers, groups, all those little things, ads if you don't have a premium membership. All of these are widgets. So I could change the widget color here by, let's see, background color, or I can use an image for that. I can do like orange. There we go. Yeah, let me try dark orange. There we go. Okay, so see here it changed the color. And again, I could use an image too if I wanted to, or I can even do no background if I wanted to. No background. Boop. There it is, not see-through. But yeah, these are all different options. These are widgets. Menu bar is this top bar actually. This will only show to you if you are a regular member or a premium member who's logged in. If you are a premium member and people visit your portfolio when they're not logged in, they won't see this anyway. It'll hide this whole top bar. But yeah, that's the menu bar, so you can change the color of that. Tab bar is this one down here. Tab bar is your menu with the artwork, courses, updates, things like this. You can change the color of that as well. Text, or just the general text on the website. The color of the links, the color of your username. So how your username is, I can make it bigger if I wanted to. For example, 3060 points, and then and so forth. Style, italics if I needed to. All those kinds of things I could do. And so forth and so forth. I think I like the background color images. There we go. Alright, so whenever you're done with your working on your portfolio, you're going to go ahead and save it. Click on Save, top right corner. Very good. And then you can click on Close. There we go. To close the section. Okay. And there you go. And that's your profile. Now, the last thing to note about this is... I should have mentioned this earlier, but if you wanted to upload a picture to your portfolio and you do not have a scanner, or if it's a painting, you can just take a picture of it with your cell phone camera, for example. So if you have like a painting that you want to upload to your portfolio, you can just use your cell phone camera to upload that, take a picture of it, email it to yourself and upload it. If you want to upload a lot of pictures to your portfolio, a lot of your artwork, you can actually install a Google Drive app. So Google Drive, as long as you have a Google account, which most of you do if you have Gmail, if you can download Google Drive, the app, to your cell phone, and then every time you have a bunch of pictures on your cell phone, you can actually select to upload them all to your Google Drive account all at once. That way you don't have to email them separately to yourself. And then when you log into Google Drive on your computer, or desktop computer, or school computer, you can go to Google Drive and you should be able to find your pictures there in the Google Drive account. Otherwise, emailing them to yourself will work just fine. Now on that note, if you have a picture, like let's say you have an Illustrator file, for example, and you want to upload a work from Illustrator to your portfolio, the problem with that is Illustrator will only let you save a file as a PDF. So you can save a Illustrator file as a PDF or anything like that, but it still won't upload to Fan. So here's a pro trick for converting images to upload them to Fan if you have to. You can always edit them in Pixlr if they're JPEGs or if they're .gifs, GIFs. But alternatively, you can find an image converter, so convert images, and there's all sorts of free programs for that. There's fixpicture.org, so I can do resize or convert your images online. It's free. Fixpicture.org, click on that. There's many different options. And you see what this one does? It lets me pick what kind of picture. I can upload a picture of almost any kind, and then output I can change that to JPEG. In most cases, you want to upload a JPEG to Fan or a .gif. So GIF or JPEG or PNG really are the only ones you want to work with. So JPEG's the best for artwork. So I can upload a PDF, browse, select that I want it to be a JPEG, select good quality, and then I can go and convert it, and it'll let me download that picture. There's other options for this that you can use. Let's see, it's online convert. There's PDF to JPEG converter. Anything that you can search for like to image converter, select, convert to GIFs, convert to a JPEG, all sorts of things. And there's many websites you can use. Whatever one you're comfortable with is fine. But just remember, you always want to convert your pictures, whatever they are, to a JPEG when you upload them to your portfolio. And there are free services that let you do that. You can also resize pictures that way, aside from using Pixar. So I can do like resize picture online. If I Google resize picture online, boom, now I have Pic Resize or Web Resizer. So I can resize pictures that way and make sure that they're smaller quality if I need to. Resize, crop, special effects, and so forth. So again, many different options for working with your pictures to upload them to your portfolio, but that's basically it. So at this point, your portfolio should be completely customized. You changed your profile picture. You have changed your the order of your tabs. You've changed your background, and you've created a custom banner. And at that point, you should be, and you uploaded your artwork to your portfolio, of course, through AdWorks. At that point, you should be all set to go. And that's how you use your Free Artist Network portfolio and how you customize it. So I know it was quite a long lecture, and I hope you've learned a lot from it. And I hope you enjoy your portfolio.